With the Empire at the height of its power, Jedi virtually extinct, and fear across the galaxy, little to no hope exists. Jedi that did survive Order 66 are relentlessly hunted down by Inquisitors and bounty hunters hired by the Empire. To be a Jedi in this era is the #1 crime in the galaxy. Amongst the surviving Jedi that made it out alive post Order 66, Cal Kestis was a mere child when his master was slain in front of him, and from that moment forward, Cal went into hiding. Jump ahead many years, and Cal is a young Jedi in a valiant fight against the Empire, holding off Inquisitors and even escaping the likes of Darth Vader. The events of Fallen Order really matured Cal into a Jedi we see in Jedi Survivor, and today, I'd like to take you through his journey to find out how hard is it to 100% Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Now, before we dive in, I'm sure you're wondering where is the Fallen Order 100%, and well, I played that well before I started making YouTube content, so yeah, probably not gonna happen. Jedi Survivor is no joke when it comes to its 100%, so let's break down exactly what we need to do to achieve this. As an additional challenge, I did this entire playthrough on Grandmaster, which is the hardest difficulty. Surprisingly, no trophies tied to difficulty, so this was more of a self-imposed challenge for myself. In Jedi Survivor, in addition to completing the main story, we must collect all Force Echoes, all Force Tears completed, all perks and perk slots, all legendary enemies defeated, all chest and BD1 scans, all fish, data discs, Jedha scrolls, priorite shards, and seeds collected, all health and force upgrades, all data banks, all bounties complete, all outfits and lightsaber parts, and finally the entire skill tree filled out. Of course, the entire playthrough was streamed on my Twitch, so feel free to stop by and check out the channel. With the challenge laid out, let's dive on in. Our story begins and it seems that Cal has been captured. We're on Coruscant, the capital of the Empire. Being escorted by our captors, we are brought to Senator Sejan, who tries to execute Cal, but BD1 interrupts by unlocking our handcuffs and we get our first taste of combat against some stormtroopers. Turns out our captors are actually friendlies, with Bo being a good friend of Cal. We begin to make our way through the city and find our very first meditation point, which is very similar to Graces and Bonfires from the Souls games. We grab our very first scan in a little noodle bar, really important stuff here. Using our ultimate basically, we're able to slow enemies so large groups of stormtroopers aren't as bad as you'd think. Using the Force, we can also move objects like boxes to progress deeper in. One thing the Jedi games do so well is the combat is so clean and the lightsaber really does feel powerful. We're grabbed by security droid K-405 and this is sort of our first boss fight. So security droids can be a bit tricky with their combat as they don't exactly get stunned when we are slamming our lightsaber against them. After defeating the droid, we grab the Ascension cable upgrade, which allows us to basically hookshot around. The movement the cable provides us makes exploring areas just so much easier. We can actually combine the hookshot with wall running, which will be very important to master for some tricky parts later on. We meet up with the rest of the crew and our goal is to get onto the Senator's ship who tried to execute Cal at the start of the game. Doing some parkour, we climb into the ship and apprehend the Senator to get access to his terminal. We use some Jedi mind tricks and get him to spill the beans and show us just how hopeless fighting the Empire really is. Unfortunately, the Ninth Sister arrives and kills the Senator and orders her men to take out our crew. Pretty much everyone is taken out and we barely make it out alive to the Undercity meets. Not the ideal landing spot, but better than just biting the dust. We encounter another security droid here and take care of it and grab ourselves another stim. With the fight not being too difficult, we actually do the fight a few times just to get some extra XP to level up some useful skills. If you're new to the series, think of stim as health packs or like the flask from Elden Ring. Anyways, a purge trooper is in our way and these troopers specialize in taking out Jedi, so we have our hands full. Luckily, we are insanely good with a lightsaber and take out the trooper. Coming up to a dock with a ton of troops, Bo arrives and takes him out, essentially saving us. Before we can make our escape, the Ninth Sister arrives and here is our first real skill check on Grandmaster. Using a two-sided blade, the Ninth Sister uses a combo of throws as well as force abilities. The fight itself can be pretty tricky. On Grandmaster, the timing to parry enemies is a very tight window and the enemy's aggression is set to max so you don't have a lot of breathing room to heal or take a break. Using a special force ability that gives us auto counter using the duel stance, we are able to finally put the Ninth Sister down for good. After the squabble, we meet up with Bode and another member of our team, Bravo, who seem to have survived. We must now get back to our ship, the Mantis, to escape Coruscant. TIE fighters give chase and both Bravo and Bode are in X-Wings helping the Mantis escape. Bravo tragically doesn't make it, but his sacrifice allows Cal to jump into hyperspace. We watch some scenes of Cal's old crew as him and BD-1 reminisce. Setting course for Koboh, we crash land in the gorge and this wraps up Day 1. Heading into Day 2, we meet a new faction, the Bedlam Raiders. They use droids that were used by the Separatists, so really cool to be able to fight against them. Exploring the area a bit and we get our first encounter with a B2 battle droid and we get cooked. Moving across some tar, we can use an explosive droid to blow up a wall, which is a nice tactic to learn for later. A poor droid has his ship stuck in the tar, but Cal isn't strong enough to lift it, so we kinda just feel bad and move on. Now arriving at a dam, we must face off with our first wildlife, the Gera. The beasts in Jedi Survivor are no joke on Grandmaster. Overall aggression, do a ton of damage, as well as can't be stunned like droids and people. Defeating the Gera does give us a health upgrade, so definitely worth the fight. As we traverse the dam, it begins to become very apparent how many scans we'll need for the 100%. BD-1 wants to scan every little thing around, and that means we need to explore every nook and cranny possible in every single area. We do find a Force Essence upgrade after watching a Gera decimate a droid across the way. We find a massive, almost dinosaur looking beast that, as far as I can tell, might be the biggest beast in Star Wars game that we've ever encountered as players. We have our Breath of the Wild moment, and this game is astonishing. A wanderer approaches us, and we ask about our old friend Grease, who is the original captain of the Mantis. The wanderer tells us to meet with Doma. Trying to head into town, I learn quickly that I should fear the chickens. Oh, they're enemies. Are you serious? It one-shotted me? These strange looking birds that kind of remind me of the tremor monsters that attack above ground have a charge attack that will one-shot you. I'll be the first to say I die to these birds more than I like to say. We encounter BX droids, which are close combat droids that specialize in fighting Jedi. So I find an encounter that is just waves of battle droids, and this was a very tricky part. There's a mix of B1, B2, and BX droids here that will melt you. After many tries and some trial and error, I'm able to take out the final droid and we can grab some echoes, priorite shards, and a health upgrade. Heading into Day 3, we hear rumors of some lost prospectors, so we head into the mine to investigate. During our investigation, we find signs of something obviously very large living down here since a massive rib cage is found. Finding a new rest point, we drop down to an obvious boss arena. Of all things, a freaking Rancor just casually strolls out. At this point in the story, we're still pretty weak and the Rancor will just one-shot us. To me, this is the most Souls-like boss I've encountered up to this point, and the Rancor just kinda decimate me over and over and over again. After a handful of attempts, I do eventually concede defeat and decide to continue the story, so the Rancor is safe for now. We arrive at Rambler's Reach and we see a frog friend, Turgle, getting pressed by a massive robotic beast man who is Rayvis. Rayvis acknowledges we are a Jedi and says he will leave Turgle alone if we can best his man Zeke in combat. A pretty easy fight at this point in the story as the dual blades overwhelm Zeke. Rayvis agrees to leave but leaves us a pretty loaded threat that we'll meet again at some point. Having saved Turgle, Doma kinda thanks us and lets us know to head into Pyloon's saloon. Heading inside, we are scanned in and Monk, the bartender droid, welcomes us. We ask about Grease and on cue he walks out and we reunite with an old friend with 4 arms. Exploring the saloon, we head downstairs and rest up for the night. When we awake, Grease gives us a rundown of the Empire's activity and shows us a secret smuggler's tunnel that we of course head down into. We do find the data disk that is from the High Republic era and find the Chamber of Duality, one of many chambers throughout the game. Using this force ball mechanism, placing in the clans will activate bridges. We find Z, a High Republic era droid, and I am personally a huge fan of the callbacks to the High Republic era. We get a flashback through Z's eyes where she is talking with Santari Khri, a Jedi of the High Republic. Solving a puzzle, we free Z from her trap and she leads us back above ground and joins us in the saloon. Since Koboh is our hub world, the saloon acts as a main area of interest where newly found characters will reside once we recruit them. Bo is at the saloon and Z lets us know that we need to open up the Force Array. With the array in mind, we decided to do some exploring and come across a strange tear. These are force tears, and there's a bunch spread across Koboh and other planets that offer challenges from parkour to crazy combat scenarios. Honestly, a pretty nice feature as the tears will make you better at the game in terms of parkour and sharpening your combat skills. In completing force tears, we are awarded skill points, which is pretty cool. We arrive at Basalt Rift and do battle with a Triceratops dino creature thing. Pretty simple fight there, but then the Mogu. These beasts are horrifying at any point in the story as they are super aggressive and have a command grab to do a Hulk Loki slam that basically insta-kills. This Mogu claimed me more times than I'd like to say, but we do end up slaying the beasts and are rewarded another stim. Super random, but back at the saloon after our time exploring, we check out the bathroom and get a random trophy, so big W there. Finding yet another chamber, the Chamber of Reason, we solve the bridge puzzle to complete another chamber. Back out exploring, we come across a strange blue substance or bugs that act like quicksand where you get slowed down and eventually die to the blue. Finally getting to the Forest Array, this place is littered with the blue substance, so we must carefully navigate our way around. A massive bird is here, and it's no threat to us, but it is gargantuan in size, so it's important to note. Enjoying my time in the Forest Array, my worst nightmare becomes reality.
No way.
Another Mogu. Instead of getting cooked, I strategically avoid it to place an orb that will activate a beam that destroys this hard substance and scares the blue away. Trying to regain my honor, I vow to not leave until this Mogu is dead. Mogus are another example of why I believe beasts are way more difficult to fight than humans any day of the week.
Ah!
The Mogu gets absolutely cooked and baked and destroyed, and we can finally move on. The chickens, man, they still haunt me and show me why they run the Forest Array. Now at the Biomal Den, we let the Biomal and stormtroopers hash it out while we catch a ride on a bird thing. We're dropped back off at the Forest Array and use the orb to open up some paths. We encounter stormtroopers and we force control our beast friend to take them all out. Continuing on, we head up into Forest Array, specifically the Rehabilitation Wing. Tanalorr, that's what we keep hearing about. Walking deeper in, we see another flashback of Dagan, Gera, and Centauri at Tanalorr. The flashback ends, and to my shock, Dagan Gera is still alive in a bacta tank. We release him and we trade names. Dagan Gera tells us all about an invasion that took place, and in real time we witness him bleed his kyber crystal, which is just really awesome to see.
Yo, bleed his kyber crystal?
Dagan Gera is not in a good mood and he immediately turns on us, and honestly it's just a really cool fight that we get to encounter and do battle with a Jedi from the High Republic era. He's pretty crazy even with one arm, but we were able to beat him in our duel. We let him know we're the only Jedi really left, and Rayvis shows up to save Dagan, which I found as a pretty big surprise. We ride another bird down from the Forest Array and we unlock the Neko mount, which is our Epona. Using Epona, we find a settlement that is Jawas to wrap up day 3. Exploring more of Koboh, we come across our arch nemesis, the Mogu, and after swiftly defeating it, we can recruit Tully and Buma so they make their way to the saloon. Back at the saloon, we play some Holo Tactics, which is picking a team using points and having the teams fight each other, a more tactical minigame than anything. Heading into Domas, we grab another stim upgrade. We go to Harvest Ridge where we recruit DD-EC and Ash Javi, basically local DJs who just want to play their music. At this point, my chat suggested we head to Fort Callan to find the secret. I was oblivious at this point until we arrive at the top of the fort and fall into a pit. From the shadows, the spawn of Ogdo emerges. All in Grandmaster, this damn frog is relentless. I died for about an hour or so straight, and like the Rancor, I had to finally admit defeat. for now. I thought, okay, the frog is tough, now that I'm a little bit better, let's try the Rancor, and well, I got cooked so many times. This time though, I was adamant in killing the Rancor, so we were fighting this thing until it was defeated. The more I fought the Rancor, the better I got at parrying and dodging, and like Elden Ring, once you start to learn the bosses, you start to grow confident. Sure enough, with a swift final swing of the lightsaber, the Rancor is finally defeated. We get the Shatter perk, which is one of the best perks in the game. This perk does more damage to enemies' block mirrors, so you're able to stagger them much easier. Back at the Mantis, Z is waiting for us and can't believe the Jedi Order was wiped out. On top of the saloon, we can plant some seeds that we have found around Koboh. There are a whopping 145 different seed pods, and yes, we will be collecting them all. We chart a course for Jedha, where Seer, the Jedi Master from the first game, is residing. Jedha is basically a massive desert planet. The sand itself is dangerous as a scorpion beast lurks beneath its surface. We do happen to find another force tear, and instead of parkour, it is a test of our combat ability, so if anything, it helps us get better at the game. Continuing through, we are jumped by jetpack troopers, and Night Sister Marin appears to give us a hand. She has the ability to stun enemies, so it makes killing them much easier for us. She also has the ability to reconstruct destroyed objects using her Night Sister power. The parkour and verticality of Jedha makes it such a fun planet to go around and explore. Like the Neko on Koboh, the Spammel is our ride of choice here. It is crazy tall and fast, but unlucky for us, a huge desert storm is approaching. We do get caught in it and Marin leads us through, but we're stopped by an ATST, which is way more intimidating than it actually is. We easily destroy it and find shelter in the cave, where Marin and Cal have a moment to reconnect since it's been so long. With Marin's help, we arrive at Seer's archive and meet Master Cordova in the flesh. He is a huge part in the first game, so this was actually a really cool moment to actually meet the man himself. Inside, Seer shows us her new Jedi archives. She notes this place is a sanctuary away from the Empire, even though Jedha is crawling with Imperials. Anyways, with the archive found, we officially wrap up day 4. Heading into day 5, we start by going back to Koboh and finding yet another chamber where BD1 gets an upgrade. He's able to shoot Koboh matter, which allows us to chain the purple beam projected from the force balls every chamber has. Using this new ability, we grab ourselves another Force Essence upgrade. This canyon area is really dope as there's lava, and like Wind Waker, you use the steam to rise up super high while flying around. We drop inside a pond and meet Scuva, a fisherman who is hidden throughout the various planets. When we speak with him, he will collect 1 out of 12 different fish, so we grab our first, the Blinding Ray fish. Arriving at the Grand Courtyard, we do battle with Tagus Loesh, a raider that wields a lightsaber. Taking care of the Goomba, we head inside the courtyard and find an echo of Dagan Gera as we pick up a strange device. Dagan kills a bold Jedi for this device, so it must be very important. At this point in the game, bounty hunters are actively hunting Cal, and we encounter one named Mayan Kor who kinda just appears out of nowhere. I do really enjoy this aspect of the game, as areas that you feel comfortable in quickly lose that sense of safety as anything can happen. We take care of Mayan, and with now 2 bounty pucks, we meet Cage at the saloon who sells different BD1 abilities for these valuable pucks. Time to head back onto the Mantis, and we chart a course for the Shattered Moon. This is a pretty cool place that's crawling with droids and raiders. Something that completely shocked me was the reprogrammed Magna Guard. I personally haven't seen one of these since Revenge of the Sith, best Star Wars movie by the way. And these specialized droids are experts at fighting Jedi, and the game does a really great job portraying that. However, at this point, we're really starting to get the combat down to a T, so the Magna Guard is slain. Climbing some super sketchy grates and avoiding electricity, we head up to the peak of the Shattered Moon, where some battle droids and raiders are protected by a green force field. Using our handy grappling hook and some well-timed swings, we slay the droids and raiders to do some pretty insane parkour. A whopping 3 BX droids are waiting for us, and low-key on Grandmaster, numbers are the scariest thing to deal with. One-on-one isn't that bad as you can parry and overwhelm your enemy, but in a group you gotta play a hit and run game so you don't get melted. Using this expert tactic, we move on and grab another mysterious device before Drya Thorn attacks us. Like other raiders with lightsabers, Drya is no different, so we take them down in a very dramatic fashion that we even get a cutscene. Grabbing the blade, we get the crossguard stance or the Kylo Ren. Slower swings, yes, but the damage you inflict is immense. We see another echo of Dagan and Centauri discussing heading into the Abyss to find Tanalorr. We end day 5 heading back to Koboh, planting some seeds and purchasing a perk slot from Z using data discs we have found all around the galaxy. Day 6 we got a lot done. To start off, we use a mind trick to have a stormtrooper lower this green barrier to get the security droid Slice. Slicing is basically taking over a weakened droid and making it fight on our side. Heading back to Jedha, we meet with Seer and Co, and it turns out Armius, an anchorite, has been taken, so we need to head to Pilgrim Sanctuary to retrieve the contact codes. We do find our fishing buddy Scuba, who grabs us the snakefish. Seeing that the Empire's presence is growing stronger, Merrin decides to stay back to slow them down while we go on ahead. There is a super windy part that we need to carefully get by, and the wind won't be a problem for that much longer. Probably the toughest enemy in the game, the DT Sentry Droid, is in our way. Not only does this beast do crazy damage, but once you slice off its arms, it is actually at its strongest. It does Gears of War stomps, which seemingly have no cooldown, so just taking down the first one is like a mini boss fight on its own. We do find Peely, who is recruited to our saloon. Peely will manage the rooftop garden that will become a huge part of the 100% much later on. A really cool thing about this wind is you're able to basically glide super large distances when you jump. Just a neat thing. Meeting back up with Merrin, tag teaming a sentry droid is night and day. Merrin has her stun ability, and if you want to be cheesy, you can just wait for it to come back to do damage. We head inside a centralized area, and the wind takes us where we head to another flashback of Seer giving Cal some wise words of wisdom. In doing so, we relearn the jump dash, which basically makes getting around much faster when we cut through the strong wind. So make our way to the sanctuary, a massive Imperial drilling ship, begins drilling. We do find Armius, but with the drilling, time is scarce, and unfortunately, Armius is crushed in pretty dramatic fashion, just kinda instantly. Merrin helps us by repairing the debris that was super close to crushing Cal and gives us her charm, which will allow us to dash through those green barriers. Our next goal is to fight and destroy the massive drilling ship. Using a combination of Merrin's portals, parkour, and timing, we get to see the lightsaber used to its fullest potential, aka cutting objects in a single swipe. Merrin shows how OP she is by breaking the arms of the ship, and with her and Cal's force, shove those broken arms right into the center of the ship and destroy it for good. Having successfully protected Pilgrim Sanctuary, we deliver the contact codes back to Seer and the others, and discover there must be a compass that leads to Tanalorr that works. Those mysterious devices we grabbed were compasses, but they were broken. Now with our new dash ability, we head back to Koboh because a whole lot has been opened up to us. Back on Koboh, we learn that Z has been kidnapped and taken to the Lucre Hulk, but we will save Z later. We head back to where we started day 6 and go through the green barriers to see what we can find. Deeper in, we find the fogged expanse and our arch nemesis, the Mogu. A bit better at combat, we only die a few times but slay the beast. Hiding behind the door, we check it out and it's another Mogu. The devs must have been laughing when they made this area. Let's fill the place with Mogus, cause we know players just love fighting enemies who hit like a truck and have command grabs. This Mogu, in particular, I swear was twice as hard, but it stands no chance and gets cooked up. At one point, I look through my inventory and it starts to dawn how insane collecting everything truly is. Literally hundreds of different items, seeds, music tracks, scans, you get the point. Not feeling disheartened, we continue on and do battle with troopers, droids, and purge troopers. We find a crashed Imperial ship and BD-1 gets a nice upgrade, the ability to shoot volts of electricity to power various doors, chests, and other things. After the crashed ship, finishes crashing, we arrive at Imperial Post 8L005. This is basically waves of increasingly difficult enemies with basic stormtroopers all the way up to 2 DT sentry droids all at once. Some trial and error, and we find a secret way to get in that allows us to drop a TIE fighter on a bunch of the earlier enemies to make the first wave much faster and quicker. Using Force Confusion, we can use the stormtroopers to attack the sentry droids just enough to make them a bit more manageable. After a grind of hit and run tactics, the final droid is killed and we ascend into the post. I love the look of these Imperial bases, and I really wish we got more of this in these kind of games. Using our Force abilities, we convince the trooper that we're good to be here and they let us right in. Rick, the door technician, is here to stop us, and I kind of feel bad killing him. He dies in one hit, so RIP to a legend. From this base, we arrive at Summit Ridge and can officially wrap up day 6. 1 week in, Bo meets up with us and it's officially Z rescue time in the Viscid Bog. We meet Zig and Winnie, who just need help, so it's a pretty vague rumor. As we head deeper in, we see some AAT, which is awesome because I always say this, the prequels were amazing. Now finally inside the Lucre Hulk, the parkour aspect of the game really starts to ramp up since we have the jump dash. Deeper in, we meet back up with Bode and destroy a Magna Guard and head to Lucre Hulk core where we see Z on an elevator ascending. Unfortunately, we're split up again, so we need to head into the back rooms to find a way around. Crawling through the pipes, Rayvis snags us and eats a lightsaber stab like he's a Disney era Star Wars character. BD launches a crate at Rayvis and turrets are lighting us up. We're thrown back into a flashback with Seer and we learn the yoink, which lets us slam objects and enemies as well as lift heavier doors. Another lightsaber wielding raider named Hytho Pix jumps us, and this fight was a bit trickier than it should have been. As you attack, Hytho loves to kind of just push you aside, which is more annoying than anything else. Deeper into the core, we were able to spy on Dagan and Gera, and turns out him and Rayvis are very long time friends. Dagan instructs Rayvis to head to the Shattered Moon. We find Z and begin to free her, and Dagan interrupts us. We try to convince him to let go of the past, but he attacks us. So this fight is for sure tougher than our first time with him, as he's using a dual blade saber this time and can throw one of his sabers at us, which we can parry, and it does have his stamina, so honestly sometimes worth the risk. Ultimately, the fight itself wasn't that bad, and the scariest move is when he does a huge lunge as unblockable. Before we can kill him though, he tries to crush us, but luckily Bo comes to help us out. Dagan makes his escape, of course, and we successfully save Z the droid. We do snag another health upgrade, which is always welcome. Arriving at escape pods, Bo and Z go in one and we go in another. Landing back in the bog, we use our newly learned abilities so we can traverse deeper and find the Mire Terror, which is not one, but 2 Mogu. So a plan I came up with was to force confuse the non-boss Mogus so they would fight a bit. In doing so, the Mire Terror would be around half-ish health, making it a bit more manageable. That's not to say this plan had faults, as I still got caught way more than I actually should have. As I've said, beasts in this game are way more challenging than the people and droids you face. Barely escaping death, we slay the Terror and add another stim upgrade. Using some zip lines, I find another Jedi chamber, and this one really focuses on BD1's ability to create the rocky substance so we may open up the main chamber and grab a new perk, Recuperation. Continuing to use our new abilities, we do some underwater tunnel swimming and Cleland Cuz attacks us viciously. Slaying the lightsaber wielding raider, we grab another health essence. A lot of the rest of day 7 was traveling around Koboh collecting a ton of different things that are now accessible since we can raise and lower things. We do find another chamber with force control boxes that for some reason remind me of Zelda and use them to complete the chamber pretty effortlessly. Heading underground, we do battle with Prince Petren, who isn't really all that challenging to officially wrap up day 7. Day 8 starts with a rematch against a Rancor. Not really too bad since we have his moveset mastered, so we slay the beast. In this cave, there are explosive plant things that we can grab with the force and toss to damage enemies and break down walls. We do just that and Scuba is big chilling fishing per usual and snags us a Viscid Lurker. We do find another force tear, and this one is just really cool, so I'll just let it play out.
No, I would never. Never. Old me when I was like a teenager, maybe. I did get a food delivery that day. Boom! Boom! That's how it's done.
We escape the caves through the smuggler's tunnel and arrive back at the saloon. We do find another force tear and it's pretty easy combat tear using the dual blade saber. At a point, I did get the map upgrade showing where all the hidden chests are in the game, but I must have forgot to record or lost the footage, but hey, every chest is visible in the map now. Anyways, we continue exploring Koboh and are jumped by a bounty hunter, Kip Ostar, who sports a shield but they are no match for the lightsaber. Bastion Wolf is up next on your list of raiders with sabers, and once again he gets cooked up. We do come across the Goroko Matriarch, and this is another legendary beast we need to kill. At this point, the lightsaber throw was becoming a huge part of my offense as it is pretty much busted on Grandmaster. Slaying the Matriarch, we grab another stim and move on. At the saloon, we take our time to talk with a lot of the patrons here as we can learn more about Jedi chambers and talking with every single person is actually required for a much later objective. Heading back to Shattered Moon, it's time to finally confront Rayvis. We grab a new ability which allows us to grapple onto floating balloons and launch us a bit. Using this new ability, we confront Rayvis and it's time for possibly the hardest fight in the game. So phase 1, and yes, I said phase 1, is Rayvis keeping his distance, and honestly I'd rather just show the fight in full so y'all can see the struggle in full.
Oh my god. Is it by summoning salt? Yeah, the Halo 2 one's really good. Halo 2 one is really good. Hi, man. No, what is that? SP3. Is that the Halo thing? Right? Bro. Oh my god. You ever play Amat Halo? Oh, dude, you should. I see. Get my block back. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm shaking. Oh wow.
Actually beating Rayvis with a sliver of health, we try to convince him to join us in fighting Dagan, but he denies our request and demands we give him a warrior's death, so we do, and Rayvis is no more, officially wrapping up day 8. Back on Koboh, we join Bode to ascend the observatory that Dagan Gera is hiding out in. Something that's really cool is watching the stormtroopers fight the droids, really strong Clone Wars vibes, but anyways, we continue to climb and find yet another stim upgrade. Urgost, Fist of Rayvis awaits us, and he is just a juiced up bedlam smasher. Nothing that crazy, but he does have a slam attack that can be troublesome. After killing him, we do get the I'm a Living Legend trophy, which is a nice confirmation that we've killed all the hidden bosses in the game. Anyways, we meet up with Bode and his X-Wing and we take on a pair of Magna Guards before solving a pretty easy puzzle. Even higher, we take on the duo of Mass Gresh and Sanderson, but with Bode, it's a piece of cake. Him constantly shooting and his stun is wild. We need to defeat an entire droid army before we confront Dagan Gera for the final time. He's been busy killing stormtroopers, complaining about lost friends, and how Cal sucks pretty much. So the fight starts off as a 2v1, but Dagan sets up his domain. The man can now airbend, so we have to worry about that, plus he has a force arm so he can dual wield. There's 3 main phases to this fight. As we get to the last phase, Dagan puts Bode into a genjutsu, then he introduces his new domain expansion, Triple Clone Airbending Bullshit. This phase is nuts, and he also does a slam attack that has a time delay that will explode. Oh, and not to mention he can release a shockwave attack as well. Dagan Gera is just insane. His final move in his arsenal is a crazy lunge that force chokes you and cuts you down. After about 20 attempts, we get him down to a fraction of health and he actually carves our chest and we are on the brink of death. We pull an Itachi and reverse genjutsu him and deliver the final blow, finally putting Dagan Gera down for good. But even with Dagan dead, we still have a ton to do. We get the compass that leads to Tanalorr, and before we deliver it to Seer and Master Cordova, we're going to wrap up a lot of side quests and collectibles. Heading back to the saloon, we go ahead and complete every single Holo Tactics match. Like I said earlier in the video, Holo Tactics is a board game style minigame where you pick teams based on how many points you have. Tully is the final Holo Tactics challenge, and with them beat, Holo Tactics is now complete. We head back to Fort Callan and it's time to finally take out the spawn of Ogdo. Essentially being a Jedi Master at this point, the lightsaber thrower really is just OP, and once you get him to about a quarter health, the frog becomes relentlessly aggressive. I sadly missed the cool animation for killing the spawn, but hey, frog dead finally.
Oh my god. Oh. Oh. Let's go.
Hey, this is a good find.
We missed the thank you Sir Fry for the biddies. Thank you. We missed the really cool, slice and dice, but he's dead.
We also find an upgrade to our map, Upgrades, which shows us all missing skill points and health force upgrades. Having collected a ton of seeds and planting a good variety of them, we are awarded the seed map upgrade, which shows us the 100 plus seeds we are sadly missing. We go on a bounty hunting, hunt and kill every single bounty hunter in the game before Cage betrays us and tries to collect the bounty on our head. She uses 2 blasters and is a pretty nimble bounty hunter, but we carve her up and all of a sudden Boba Fett the legend shows up.
Oh. Boba. Oh, he looks fantastic. Oh my god. He looks so good.
This was a crazy surprise to me, and man, he looks fantastic. Turns out Cage is Boba's bounty, and we have a 3-way standoff where Cage threatens to blow us all up if we don't let her go. Boba ultimately catches her, and that is the story of Cage the bounty hunter. With Cage gone, we go ahead and purchase all the items at the bounty shop. We meet up with Scuba one final time and he gets us our final fish. Before we dive into the endgame, we take on possibly the most difficult Force terror in the game, Ogdo Bogdo and the spawn of Ogdo at the same time. If 1 super tough frog wasn't enough, 2 is for sure enough. I'm not gonna lie, this took a few hours of attempts and well, the frogs get cooked.
Ah! Ah! The frogs! Ah! The frogs!
It's gone now. We did it.
10 days into the challenge and we deliver the Taylor compass to Master Cordova and co. We reminisce of all we've lost along the journey and Cal and Marin finally embrace as Cal has finally moved on from the Jedi Order. Examining the compass, turns out the Empire is closing in all of a sudden. Bo threatens and even kills Master Cordova while stealing the compass. This betrayal really did shock me as nothing really alludes to it during the game. We hop on a speeder and give chase to Bo through the desert and confront the traitor, and turns out he is also a former Jedi, which was a huge twist.
Oh, so it doesn't matter how... Oh, he is the Force?
Bode is the one who led the Empire to the archives, so we fight the Goomba. He not only uses a saber but it's blaster as well, so it's a bit tricky navigating everything he throws at us. We do lose this fight and pass out. Coming to in an even crazier twist, we get to play as Cere the Jedi Master herself. The difference between her and Cal is so noticeable and really puts into perspective how powerful Jedi who were formerly trained truly are compared to ones who didn't have the same kind of training. Cere can cut down stormtroopers with no issues, and with the forces stopped for now, we head back inside the archives to try and save as much data and info as possible.
Oh.
It's been a while. I was hoping you drowned on Nur when we blew a hole in your underwater base.
It is delusion to think your actions have had any consequence.
Freaking Darth Vader shows up, and unlike Fallen Order, we get to fight him head on. This is easily the best fight in the game in terms of intensity, lightsaber fighting, and stakes. Having the iconic Jedi archives blinking from damage and the entire place on fire, the set piece for this fight is just amazing. One thing I love about this fight is as the fight with Vader goes on, you can see the damage to his suit in real time. I also love how you can't just beat on him with your saber like other boss fights and he will actually parry you as well. Cere does put up a valiant effort and goes for the killing blow, but Vader counters and impales Cere, finally putting her to rest. Cal at this point has lost Master Cordova and Cere, and low-key this is all kind of Bode's fault. Back at the Mantis, we figure out exactly where Bode went, and it's a huge Imperial base. Once again, the aesthetic of the Imperial bases is masterclass in this game. Commander Denvik runs this massive station, so that's the man we want to meet. Making our way and taking out insane amounts of enemies, we confront the commander, and Cal at this point is no longer messing around. Turns out Denvik is the one who sent Bode to infiltrate our team, so we knock him out in its stealth time. Wearing a man bun, Cal looks nothing like an officer, and I immediately be sketch, but we grab another map upgrade that shows us where all the echoes and data banks that we were still missing are located, so very nice. We We find Bode's room and his daughter Kata, who is here alone, is waiting for Bode. We let her know why we need to see her dad ASAP, and like clockwork, Bode appears to tell us his side of the story of why he joined the Empire. He narrowly escapes, so we give chase. An entire battalion of stormtroopers try to stop us, but Cal finally gives in to the dark side, which makes him a stormtrooper blender. In a hangar bay, we tap into the dark side once again, and being able to carve up enemies lore accurately is awesome. Even the crazy DT sentry droids are no match, and like Luke Skywalker in Mando Season 2, they get decimated. Commander Denvik really tried us, and we nearly force choke him to death, but Merrin stops us. Bode has escaped to Tanalorr, so we must go to Koboh to align the array to open the pass so we may give chase. Having aligned the array, we hop in the Mantis and start our journey to Tanalorr. Sending it, Grease puts the pedal to the metal when we arrive on Tanalorr, and I have to admit how just beautiful this place looks. The contrast of the super blue water with the white stone that makes up Tanalorr really does make it feel like a sanctuary from the Empire it's supposed to be. Finding Bode's daughter, we convince her to take us to her dad for a final boss of Jedi Survivor. The fight starts off as a 2v1 with Merrin keeping Bode busy. About a quarter into the fight, Bode I guess scares Merrin enough that she kind of just hangs out to watch Cal handle business. This fight is crazy, and I know I've said some previous fights were for sure the hardest in the game. This is the hardest fight in the game in my opinion. Grenades, blaster, and a weird fighting style makes Bode not only extremely challenging, but very, very unique to deal with. Bode was destroying me, and once you're able to destroy his blaster, it becomes even crazier. I had to throw the face cam on for this fight to really lock in, and tapping into the dark side, we defeat Bode. Cal, of course, shows mercy and doesn't immediately take him out, and Bode puts Cal in a chokehold and force chokes Merrin. Escaping the hold, Cal blasts Bode to finally end the final boss of Jedi Survivor. We get an amazing movie-like ending with Merrin narrating what has transpired over the course of the game to Bode's daughter. We give Seer and Master Cordova a proper farewell, and even Bode, but low-key I feel that only happened because his daughter was there, I'm just saying. Cal reflects on all that he has lost over the course of Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. This game is a masterpiece. So with the game complete, we have a few things to do before we can officially say we 100%ed the game. Finding a shiny Neko, we need it to release its goods, and we break that to find the final Priorate shard. Dumb as hell. We spend the rest of day 11 hunting down all 145 unique seed pods, and the 100% is technically complete. I had to flex on finding everything, so enjoy. The absolute final thing I want to do is grab all the trophies, and the final one we are missing is Riposte, which snags us the Platinum Trophy. Jedi Survivor was easily my largest 100% I've ever done. I had a blast playing through this game, and this is easily one of the best Star Wars games ever made. If you stay till the end of this monster video, I appreciate you very, very much, and feel free to drop a like and a sub to the channel. It helps out a ton. Have a great one, and until next time.